Shall we look ahead to the summer? What England player do you think that the Indians fear more than any other?
Joe.
Joe Root?
Yeah.
Okay, you say Joe, and you say...
I suppose it's Joe Root.
Joe or the captain?
Yeah, I thought maybe Harry Brook might be up there as well, but I'm not sure how they feel about him playing against spin. I think other teams would fear him more. I'm not sure if India fear him as much.
So not the bowlers, considering the conditions that they're going to be facing England.
I don't even
Who's their best
know the
bowler?
bowlers. England don't know their bowlers.
Yeah. I don't really know what England's attack is. No. People keep saying what sort of pitches England could put up, and I was like, I don't know if England could make that decision right now. Could they?
5 test matches against India, 5 test matches against Australia. I can pick the top 7 now for all 10 games, bar an injury. Forget form. They're just going to pick these 10. Pick them 7. The other 4, I've got no idea. I really haven't. I mean, I'm now at the point of going, with Stokes' body the way it is, England can't pick a spinner. England have to play 4 seamers, because if they pick the spinner and he doesn't bowl very well, and he hasn't gone on the trajectory, I think, Shoaib Bashir that England wanted him to, that puts pressure on the captain to start bowling. If he starts bowling, his body then falls apart. We can't not have him playing, so we can't have him injured. So I'm moving more towards the way of having your 2 fast bowlers and two English type bowlers, especially in this country. So for me, if everybody's fit and everybody's ready, first test match come, I would play the top 7 as they are, which everybody knows they are: Crawley, Duckett, Pope, Root, Brook, Stokes, Smith.
Is Pope definitely 3?
He has to. There's nowhere else for him to bat. Unless you swap him with Harry, there's nowhere else for him to bat.
Or he doesn't play.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And they bring
play.
another batter.
Do they play? I think that they
play Bethel. We can bowl some.
I think they've invested too much in Ollie Pope. With these 10 test matches coming up, I think Ollie Pope plays over Jacob Bethel. But
you know what the sunk fallacy cost is? Like, if you keep investing in something that doesn't give back to you because you've already invested in it. Like, at a certain point, like, I'd be very surprised if Ollie Pope is still playing by the 10th test.
By the 10th test, might be an argument if Jacob Bethel's going scoring runs, but for me, I think that's where they'll start 7, and I would go with Carse, Wokes, Archer, and Potts. I think Potts just over Cook.
Sorry, say that again. Who are you bowlers?
Carse, Wokes, Archer, and Potts just over. Okay. Potts over Cook, so that I bring Sam Cook into.
What about Gus?
The thing. I think Gus is fighting with Bryden Carse, and I'd probably just punt Carse over Atkinson, who has had a brilliant summer.
All of that, of course, summer, is not what my question was.
No, it wasn't.
But in a way, it answers the question with a different... That to me, hearing what you just said, that suggests that it's Ben Stokes then that India would fear most, because if they can destabilise the Stokes part of all this, then everything else falls apart.
If there's no Stokes, England fall apart.
But if Root doesn't make runs, they're not winning this season.
Well, then Brook might score runs.
I don't. I've got massive questions about Brook against really good quality spin.
Well, they won't face a lot of it.
Yeah.
Jadeja, that's it.
It'll be Jadeja.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's not a good spinner, but it's not like...
But in English conditions...
Ashwin's not coming, is he? So
there's no Ashwin. I mean, even when he did come, he didn't play.
Yeah, and Washington Sundar, I don't think they'll play him.
It will be Jadeja, and that's it. There's going to be no Coldie. There's going to be no...
If you're asking who they fear the most, it is going to be Root.
Yeah,
I think that's the question. That's the answer. I think that's right. I was lucky enough for my book to talk to Rahul Dravid, and it was really interesting. We were going through, everyone put all the pressure on Joe Root for the reverse laps and everything, and he was saying, "What do you think Root's worst shot was in the last couple of years?" And I said, there was a shot against Ashwin or against Akshar Patel where he came down the wicket and tried to slog across the line.
Yeah,
and Rahul Dravid was like, "That is the correct answer." And then he went on he goes, "That was the moment we knew that we were back in front and we were probably going to win, because up until then England and Rahul was really honest about this. He was like, we didn't think Ollie Pope could do that. We were sitting there going, oh my God, we had all these plans and they've completely punched us in the mouth." And then Joe Root did that and they went, oh, it's not going to last.
We could see that with Pope though. I mean, Rohit Sharma, we talked about the captaincies, but Rohit Sharma, we were in, obviously me, Manners and Scott were in Hyderabad, and we're sitting on the terrace where the camera gantry is, right outside our commentary box, and we're watching Rohit Sharma. Me and Manners were talking about it. We're watching Rohit Sharma and going, he's not bothered about Ollie Pope reverse sweeping. He's happy Ollie Pope's going to get 20, 30. He's never going to get these runs. I mean, they were like, nah, don't matter. And he was signalling, nah, leave him.
Yeah.
Leave the whole thing there. So I even, India didn't believe Ollie Pope could play that sort of innings. So
Ollie Pope probably will never play that innings again. His false percentage shot was about 60.
It wasn't ideal. he wasn't in control.
for the first 40 he was. First 40, 50, he was like a cat not tin roof. Like
He got really good after that.
after that,
Yeah,
from
he was
50 to
still
100,
dropped twice
100,
after.
yeah.
Oh no, but that's what I'm saying. So India they were like, Ollie Pope has done this.
Yeah.
Ben Duckett can do this. Fine, we can overcome that. But Root was the one they were like, if Root partners with Duckett or Pope, now we're in all sorts. When they thought that Root was in his head a little bit, they were like, that was when they felt relaxed. So I would assume it would be the same situation because there's no strike bowler to worry about, is there? Do you know what I mean? Even like, I think we all probably pick Cass. Oh, I would pick Cass as my first England bowler at the moment, depending on Jofra's fitness. So Cass is the first England bowler in. I have nothing but respect for what Bryden Cass has done in international cricket. But if I was an international top-level batter, I'd be like, if that's their best bowler, we've got a chance here.
Yeah, but like Gus, you're just starting. You know, it's not Bryden Cass 25 Test matches. It's Bryden Cass
exactly.
handful.
He might be very different.
You don't know how he's gonna go about. I think Cass and Atkinson probably fight for the same role. Wokes has to play.
I don't think Atkinson can play at the moment.
I think, but I think maybe he's with a red ball. And I think up until he got that hat trick in at the Basin, he was struggling.
I think
he was struggling. Yeah,
Really? I'm
tell you why.
I'm very worried about his bowling at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that you shouldn't be. I think he bowled pretty well in New Zealand.
up until after he got the hat trick.
and
Before that, he didn't bowl as well.
No, he was a bit slow in that first spell at Christchurch, but he also bats well.
Yeah, but in this, you've got Wokes coming in it. You've got Bryden Cass coming in.
I think he's made runs. I don't think he bats well.
I think
he did.
I think Cass is a better batter than Bryden.
Cass is a better bat, and Wokes is a better bat.
Wokes, I'd say, is a different argument.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is they have extra batting if they go with that lineup, which I would go with.
This would have Matt Potts coming in at number 11, who's got a first class 149.
He can bat, yeah.
Yeah, I still think Gus
he can
plays
bat like
ahead
Atkinson.
of Potts.
I mean,
If you've got Wokes, I don't think you need Potts quite as much.
I think Potts is your reliable.
I think
you're
that's
not
Wokes.
going to get anything.
That's Wokes.
No, but I think Potts is that little bit quicker. I think he bridges the gap between Wokes and your fast bowler, and I think because of the English surfaces and the English conditions, I think me personally now, I've gone away. I used to look at Pottsy and go, he's probably just a little short for that international, what you're thinking. I think now, because of the last however many test matches we've played, we've brought in so many debutants and they've all got 5 wickets and they've all got injured. We've never been able to build a bowling attack around it. Me now, I'm looking at Chris Wokes, who I know for a fact can hold one end up, be very, very consistent. He didn't bowl as well as he would in New Zealand, but I think in English conditions, the average he has. I think Chris Wokes and Matt Potts, we have to have a structure to our bowling. And Potts doesn't get injured. He's very reliable. He knows where the top of off stump is. His first ball's at 84 mile an hour. His last ball's at 87.
Hang on.
I'm going with Potts.
Right. Fair enough if England tour New Zealand this year, but they don't. They tour Australia. This isn't about India.
I think Potts would be a really good bowler on current Australian wickets. Wokes should take wickets overseas. I can't explain why it doesn't happen.
So
did you watch the last series?
The ball's changed a bit.
Kookaburra balls changed,
Yes,
and Australian
of course.
pitches
The
have
pitches,
changed. Do you know who would be perfect for it? Matthew Potts, who bowls very similar to Scott Boland.
That's true. Yeah. But I still think that Gus Atkinson will play.
Well, the last time I saw him,
ahead
he was bowling dead straight at 132 kilometres an hour. So he either needs to get some pace or work out how to make the ball move more.
He's had a good break, which is good.
Yeah,
he looked terrible.
Depends on how he starts for Surrey. He's had a good break. If he goes and smashes it for Surrey, yes, he's even more. He's ahead of Bryden Cass because of what he did last summer. But I'm going off a gut feel and gut pick against India, where if one of these 6 gets in on a flat one, who's going to get him out? I think that's Bryden Cass, just over Gus Atkinson.
Yeah, I think Cass plays.
But another
I think Atkinson plays as well.
I want my pool of bowlers. I want my pool of bowlers to be reliable.
Atkinson has to be in the pool.
There's a lot of talk about.
Yeah,
is Josh Tongue fit?
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's a lot of talk about the Josh Tongues and
this is fair. The other thing is Jofra, because I can't see Jofra playing.
He's the only
first test. I just
why in the first test?
Because he would have played no red ball cricket. He plays IPL cricket until May the 21st.
But we've seen guys do that now and play World Test Championship finals straight after, right?
Yeah, but it's Jofra Archer when he hasn't played red ball.
You're saying his body.
I'm saying his body and for all the stuff that Harmy was saying.
There's no reason why I can't play for the Lions.
Isn't there a gap between
the first innings?
Yeah.
There'll be a Lions game.
Yeah, maybe.
He'll play Sussex second 11.
Is it exclusive for you?
Yeah, he's playing for Surrey. Yeah. Sussex, he's probably been offered a deal. Sussex second 11 games as well. He'll be able to play red ball games before the test.
And you play Lions. I mean, the Lions. There will be Lions games. I think there'll be a lot of Lions games this year against the touring.
Well, there are. There's one at Canterbury and there's one at Northampton. And maybe he'll play in one of them.
He'll play in the first innings.
I still think it's a push.
Canterbury, not Beckenham.
I know. Gutted. Who is the player that England fear the most then? Is it Bumrah or bust for India? Because we talk about the makeup of the England bowling attack. I would say there's question marks over the Indian one. Yeah. If Mohammad Shami, can Bumrah bowl in 5 tests? Mm-hmm. Can Shami?
Well, they're talking about them each playing 2 tests each at the moment.
Right. So there's quite a drop off.
We talked about it with Deep Das Gupta on one of these shows beforehand of neither of our problem with Mohammad Siraj is as a third seamer he's fine. Yeah. But every time he's a second seamer because he doesn't know his bowling. He doesn't understand how to get himself back into rhythm when he's out of rhythm. And as your second bowler, that just opens up everything. We saw that against Australia at times. He actually bowled fine in that series. If he was the third bowler and Mohammad Shami was around, they probably might have even, stolen that series or at least, got away with a draw. That's the issue that India have at the moment. What's his name? Harshit, the big fella hits the wicket hard. He's got a really good heart. He doesn't really understand bowling all that much at the moment, and he's young and he hasn't played that much first-class cricket.
You've got Krishna as well.
You got Prasid Krishna, who, look, I'm a huge fan of Prasid Krishna and have been for a long time, but they keep not picking him. Yeah. Arshdeep Singh, been in the system for a while, they keep not picking these guys.
It looks as though they'll play ready at 8. He will be at 8. So is he a good enough fourth seamer?
That was going to.
But you've also got. I think you've got a more reliable spinner.
Well, that changed. So that changed. But then you don't have the all-rounder.
So are you?
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 all-rounders. You've got KL Rahul as an all-rounder, and you've got Rishabh Pant or KL Rahul, whoever's keeping wicket, and then you've got Jadeja. Then you've got Reddy at number 8, and then I personally, if I was India, I'd pick the best 4 fast bowlers I could. So if it's Rana, Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj, none of them can bat. Really, no. But I'm not bothered because I think in English conditions I want my 4 best bowlers to knock over England's top order, because I think if you get England 2 down like we've seen, there's a vulnerability that's where you can get into England's middle order. So I'm going to go with the best 4 seamers as opposed to going number 8 can bat. Forget number 8 can bat. I've got Jadeja coming in at number 7. I want the best 4 seamers in English conditions, and for me you're looking at Bumrah and Shami.
Yeah.
Who do England fear most? If Bumrah's fit, there's a contest on. If he's not fit, we've seen India. I think over the course of the time, when Shami's fit and no Bumrah, they're a bit toothless. When Bumrah's fit and Shami's not fit, they're a bit toothless. It's basically Bumrah or nothing. If they're both fit, they're best. For me, they're one of the best teams. They're one of the best teams in the world. If they're both fit, they're favourites.
And they played the majority of the tests. Yeah,
there's only one of them.
The whole thing with the best 4 fast bowlers, I think, the reason they might bowl Nitesh or use Nitesh is, I don't think they have 4 fast bowlers that they specifically trust. That might be different. They might see the guys in the nets and they might trust one of those other guys, but they can come in with some really funky lineups too. Like they can bat. They can have Washington at 6, Jadeja at 7, and Nitesh at 8, which means they have literally a top order that goes down to number 8. Between those 3 guys, they hope that they get enough bowling out of, and then the 3 seamers at the other end.
So, am I right in thinking that India's strategy the last time they were in England was very much we will pick 4 bowlers?
That was Shardul, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we will back those bowlers to take. So they're not. Yeah. They're going to have to go against that. They're going to.
My memory, and I could be wrong, but when Bazball happened, England just looked at Shardul and went. Yeah. And that's what's going to happen with Nitesh Reddy. In the old days, you'd pick Nitesh Reddy for England, and he'd wobble it around, and England would be leaving him for hours on end. And now you're just like, he's fine.
It also depends on what you're going to play on.
Yeah, and
overhead conditions. If you get warm conditions, ball swinging, all of a sudden your left armour comes into the game. You know, there's a lot of variables. I mean, England's the hardest place in the world to tour to pick a squad, because you just don't know what you're going to get till you get there. You might get a green surface, you might get a flat one, you might get lucky with the weather. You got Headingley, and you're going, oh, we win the toss, we're looking that way and not that way, if you know what I mean. So Lords is the same. So these are the
what wickets would you put out if you were England? And I know that England, some of the grounds won't listen anyway, but
flat ones.
You have to play.
I don't think you can play India on flat pitches.
The problem you've got is this batting team can only play on flat wickets.
I'm not.
Unless they change their game plan.
I think
they can only play on flat wickets. I would play on something. I would have something in it.
If you've got
this batting team can't.
If you've got Bumrah and Shami, I think you actually need to have seaming wickets and take them on that way, and just make it a shootout with their batters, and hope that Crawley gets an 80 when it's important and Stokes goes nuts occasionally.
The question was, who was the player that England fear the most? And we've spoken about
Bumrah.
So it's Bumrah, right?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Because we don't know. I know Jaiswal failed in South Africa, wasn't many games. Played really well in Australia on a low scoring series. But I don't think if I'm England, I'm like, he might be the best player in the world in 2 years' time, but he's not now. And Bumrah is the best player in the world. If you had a choice of which player you don't want to play all the Test matches, if you're England, you pick Bumrah, not Jaiswal, right? And all the older players for India are not, Rohit and Virat and all those guys.
You fear Virat because it's his last tour.
Yeah.
And this is where he resides at this moment in time, and he's a world. I mean, he's the great.
You fear him, but he's not number one
at the minute. No, he's not. But if he goes and gets a score in that first Test match, then you quickly change from Bumrah to Kohli, because Kohli.
I don't know him. So he made runs in Australia in the first Test match.
But only when runs have been scored.
Yeah.
I can't see it. He's had. This is his. How many tours of England has he had? He's not coming up against Anderson.
That bowling by Bumrah in Australia is probably one of the best touring bowling we've ever seen, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Virat Kohli, and peak Virat Kohli would be a very different conversation.
Yeah.
But where he is now, he'd have to make 300s in his first 3 Test matches before I'd switch from Bumrah.
Yeah.
Just because Bumrah.
Oh no, he'd never switch from Bumrah.
So it's a quick question for you: who will score the most runs for India? Top 7.
Ooh.
Which batter would you back to score the most runs?
KL Raoul's batted well.
I was just about to say KL Rahul,
hasn't he? I'm probably going to go Jaiswal, because I just feel like English.
I will go Jaiswal.
Just hilariously now, it probably seems almost as much in Australia as it does in England, and I thought that was going to be his big test, and I thought he played really well.
Also, when he gets in, right?
Yeah, he does not
and
stop
then
around.
he just goes big.
Yeah,
I would say Jaiswal, and he's going to have the most opportunity.
We're playing on quick. All England grounds are quick scoring grounds. For me, from an England point of view, I hope it's KL Rahul, because if it's KL Rahul, England have put India under a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah, no, I could see that, and also like KL Rahul is
he would have to be the firefighter.
Yeah,
him and Jadeja.
Can England take anything from the way that New Zealand went against Jasprit Bumrah?
Well, New Zealand always seem to do well against Jasprit Bumrah, so I don't know if they've got secret sauce or he just doesn't like going up against them. Like, I haven't seen anything in their batting that looks revolutionary against it, but you look at his record overall against New Zealand, and it's like, he's literally the best bowler in the world against everyone, and then Kiwis walk out, and he doesn't make it work. So, I didn't see anything that England could replicate, because I don't remember New Zealand doing anything special. I would say that the way New Zealand played the spinners was more interesting than anything else. But no, I didn't see anything there.
England are just going to play one way. They only know how to play one way. They're designed to play one way by the order they've got. So whether it's Bumrah, whether it's Shami, whether it's Rana, Reddy, even when Jadeja comes on, I think England are only going to play one way, and that's why they'll probably have to play on a surface which has got very little in it.
Thanks for joining us here on Following On.